Okay, so this video is an energy update on the blue moon, supermoon. Okay, and it may be, I don't know, it may be a bit short, it may be a bit to the point, it may not, it may run on for 20 minutes. I don't quite know. But the thing is, I have been so sick. I'm still in the middle of my purge, but I know it's super important to get this video out because I know that this is no joke, this moon, and many of us are going through it. And I needed to get this video out yesterday, but I was in a very, very, very bad way yesterday. And today's not great. But anyway, I'm going to go with it and I'm going to just hope that it comes out right. Okay, so bear with me, but I'm just going to go and bullet point my stuff and dive into this full moon energy update, as I say. So let's keep it to the point. Bullet point number 1, blue moon, super moon, full moon. What is that? Well, it's a Piscean full moon. Okay. So basically Pisces is connected to water. Water is actually connected to the divine feminine, and the divine feminine is obviously heart. So all of this energy work that we've been doing, leading us up to this really powerful full moon, super moon, you know, it's all adding on to that divine feminine kind of like flow and bringing us into that space now. And when we're able to move into the divine feminine space within us, bring that feminine aspect forward within us, then our divine masculine can take its place as well. And then union is upon us. Now, we've been moving into this union for at least the past 8 months. With the shift happened, I've spoken about it a lot in my videos. It's now really embodying now. So remember, you don't just embody like that. It's a process. The energy shifts out there. And then it takes quite a while for it to kind of like come into the physical, because remember, physical energy vibrates at a lot slower levels. So to bring it into our beings takes some time. But we also have to purge that which has been living in this house, living in this temple, to make way for all of that light and that divine union. So that's why it's so purgy with this moon. Very, very much to do with physical. So of course, a super moon is when it's really close to the earth. So it's like not only going to kick a punch with this full moon vibe, which is releasing, letting go, and the full moon is divine feminine, it's going to be more so because it's closer to you. So, you know, this moon ain't playing. Like I say, we had one at the beginning of the month and we have one at the end of the month, which is unheard of. So we're sandwiched in between this amongst all the other things, retrogrades, God knows what else. But this is like what we came here for. This is such a gift, even though right now, if you're in it, I feel you, because I have been, yesterday, I'm going to talk about my purge now, because it's very, very much to do with the physical. Like, I purge dark nights of the soul. That's usually my vibe, like really dark thoughts. Do you know what I mean? I got to get through that, you know. It hasn't been that often that I've had a physical purge. My God, day before yesterday, it came in like a freight train. I think that the wind changed at lunchtime, and then all of a sudden I was face down in the flowers. First of all, I tried to place myself at the oak tree at the bottom of my garden just to kind of like get a personality. Then I was like, oh no, this is getting worse. I managed to crawl to my garden on the grass and lay there, star shape, facing up to the stars, going, do you want to just like help me here? And then it was like, no, because you've got to go through this now, doll. And then I climbed into my bedroom, and I didn't leave there until this morning. So I went through a whole day yesterday purging like a gastro bug, you know what I mean? And sore body, such a sore body. However, I invoked this energy. I called this purge in because we're getting this shit done now. This is the power push, or the power punch, that we've been waiting for. And as we move into September, things are going to shift. As I've said in other videos, 2024 is actually the year of abundance. It's an abundance year because it's a number 8 year. So this is why we're doing all of this stuff. Don't forever think for a moment, or don't ever think for a moment, not forever think. Whatever. See, don't think for a moment that this is like, oh, I'm so far away from it. You are not, honey. You are like so close to that final step. Okay. You're really, but you're looking down at your feet. So you don't know that there's only one step there. Look up, darling. Look up, look up. You can see you are right there at the top of the mountain. We are, and we're not only moving that one up, this energy of coming in as one is incredible, because we're all finding each other now, and we're actually, and there is power in our numbers. There is a strength and sovereignty as we come into our own oneness wisdom within inside our own union between masculine and feminine, because this is what this is all about. As we come into union within, okay, that is then what projects out there. Everything out there is going to look as oneness, which means if you're vibrating in the same way and you've come into oneness and you put that reality out there, I'm doing the same. I put that reality out there, and then somebody else does, and somebody else does. Before you know it, we're part of a massive jigsaw puzzle, which now makes up this beautiful picture, I don't know, of a unicorn or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just like we're all part of this puzzle, and now we're coming together. And that's why it's so chaotic out there with all the fear mongering and everything like that, because they lost the fight a long time ago, because we always knew that we were going to purge this separation consciousness in our own process. So don't ever think that if you're feeling isolated and alone and on your own, it's just the energy field of what you're working with. It's not the truth. We are always have been together, because the truth is that we are all connected, right? We are all drinking from the same consciousness. In fact, what the eyes we look through, the true eyes, is the same eyes that Jesus looked through, or Buddha. Do you know what I mean? So everything else in that is just dirtiness and distortion, and that is what we're clearing, because we don't believe that anymore. We know what's up, you know? So I'm going to talk a bit about addiction. Quite a lot, actually. That is what's been coming up for me ever such a lot. And I believe that is why we are going through such a physical purge, because addictions have got to go. Any addiction is addiction to pain. Now, addiction is something I know upside down, inside out, back to front. I was physically addicted through every single drug going in my young years growing up. It's normal that it's the portal we all step through as a starseed. I've spoken to so many people that the first steps into their process of finding themselves was through the rave scene, actually, and being the last one at the party. So we've all of us have moved through this drug addicted way. So we know addiction, right? And we had to go through that because it was part of our mission, right? Now, addiction comes in many shapes or forms, and I have now purged all of that, worked a lot with that. But addiction comes in many different ways, which hides. Okay, so just because you're not addicted to cocaine or alcohol, it doesn't mean that you don't still hold that energy field. That is what we're getting rid of right now. Addiction to work, addiction to gym, addiction, fitness, addiction to all sorts of things that you think are okay for you, but they're not. Are you reliant on them? Do you know what I mean? If you don't go to gym for 2-3 days, are you going to tweak out? Well, that's addiction. If you are emotionally reliant on something to make you feel good, and in the absence of it you feel shit. Do you know what I mean? So we have to go into that deepest level to bring that into oneness. Now, the way that the spirit showed me is to do with this addiction. They're like long tendrils of like a jellyfish, which is why they're so undetected. Whereas before they were big, thick cords and everything like that. Now I thought that I was fine. And I've realized how much of an addiction to food I've got, because in the past 3 weeks, I have been eating and eating and eating. And it's been different to an energy purge where I just need to eat bread to ground. This was like, oh, honey, you still got this energy field on board, and you gotta clear it. So of course I just ran with it. I let it do its thing. I wasn't hard on myself. I just was like, this has got to stop. So then as we came into the full moon, I put it out there and said, right, understand that addiction sits in my temple here, and I need to now hold more light, and this needs to be cleared. Well, yesterday I went through a very physical purge. It was like a gastro bug. And let me tell you, the last thing I want to do now is eat. Isn't that funny? But clear, physical pain in the body. That's when you know that you're working really deeply. And today I'm still a bit in it, but having a hot flush as we speak. But it's just like even the body is still clearing out what I invoked. You know what I mean? And that's what now moves me on to the next thing, right? Being present with your process. And the reason I invoked this is because I'm a very different starseed now, as are you. Gone are the days where we go through this purge and we're like, oh my God, just let it be over. I don't really care what it's all about. You end up believing all the dark thoughts. You end up being the victim and all this kind of stuff, and you're so sick. This time, that was different for me. I actually called it in through prayer. I actually called in the blue moon and just said, right, you need to clear whatever needs to go. It showed me addiction 3 weeks ago. And I basically started to move this energy field out of my physical being, because as long as my divine masculine and feminine wants to come in, it cannot. If there is addiction sat in my temple, this is a party for 2, not a party for 3. Okay. So basically what happens is you've got a lovely little love seat, 2-seater, but there's 3 people sitting on it. Like, one's got to get out. Do you know what I mean? And let me tell you, like, my divine feminine, divine masculine, those are their thrones. So that anything else, that third person, is basically all the shadow stuff that has resided in my temple for so long. Up until now, it's been fine. But guess what? Divine feminine has risen. Divine masculine is coming in. I'm kind of going into oneness. So chum, you're going to have to go, soz. And they have to leave. So that's what this big purge is all about. Now, I just want to bring out, like, it's like it's eloquent poetry as to how, like, we move through our process. Because I've been doing it since coming back from Avalon, it's really deepened me into like next level depth into the Essenes, my Essenes work, and obviously that with Egypt and everything like that, you know, and like really going back to the scriptures, going back to the stories of Yeshua, but most of all going back to the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Now there is one, she teaches from 7 stories. There's the 7. I love the 7. She teaches from 7 stories, and one particular story, which we're all aware of, and we all know about probably, Jesus, and these are words to the effect, okay? So if you've got any of these people that like out there, like, please don't correct me because I always get it wrong, okay? Well, I don't get it wrong, actually. It's very much on point, but it's Marie speak. Remember, this is the Gospel of Marie, nothing else. But I'm not going to say exactly how Jesus spoke, but I'm going to do my best. So Jesus went into the temple, okay? And he was basically walking with his disciples, came to the temple and was just like, what the F, guys? Everybody was holding their marketplace in the temples, and he lost his shit. And he was just like, no, this is bullshit, man. Starts flicking tables. And then, like, you know, I told you it wasn't like the Bible speak, but starts flicking tables and just going, this is bullshit. You can't do this here. How dare you dirty the house of my dad? Okay. And his disciples were like, what? And because they were all doing that had chickens and donkeys and everything in the temple. And he stands up in front of everybody and he says, I will collapse this temple to the ground and I will raise it in 3 days. And his disciples were like, dude, I know you're Jesus and all that, but like this temple's been trying to be built for 40 years. No chance. And he was just like, well, I'm not talking about the physical temple. I'm talking about the body. And then I was like, oh my God. So when it came in about addiction and about the way I was eating, because everything that I go through is a reflection of humanity, because that's how I'm in service. I have to move it through my body to be able to help clear it for humanity, which is how you do it as well. And I was like, there it is. Okay, so that's about putting in, not being conscious in the highest vibration and how I am nourishing myself. Now that can go out into all different dimensions. How am I nourishing myself? This is the temple now. We are now coming into union. We need to go up to the next level, but I can't do it if there's dogs, cats, and chickens and donkeys in it. Do you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? So told you this is the Gospel of Marie. Stick with me. So that's what he said. So then I was just like, wow, this is landing. So the temple, I mean, we always say like my body's a temple. It kind of is. But here's another thing to add on to it. Separation is us going to the temple in Egypt or even in Avalon or wherever the star temples are. You go there and you're like, oh my God, I feel so amazing here. It's the temple. It's the temple. So much emphasis of putting on the structure that is out there. Temples were only built and they only still stand now to remind you of what it should feel like in your own body because they are a reflection of you. But we didn't get the memo. This is where it's at, which is why Jesus always talks about your body, you know, the temple of, kingdom of heaven is within you. Do you know what I mean? It's in here. It's not out there. We have to start recognizing ourselves as sacred, but in the modern day understanding of that. Do you know what I mean? And this is another thing. We can't get twisted and bent up in that we're not doing it like the Egyptians or we're not doing it like they did back then, because that was back then. You know, we are a modern day reflection of what it is to be sacred. So what does that look like for you? What changes do you need to make for that? You know, and like that, and that just coming in, because that's a responsibility. That's a responsibility, and a claiming of your power. Okay, to actually know, claiming your divinity, your sovereignty is actually recognizing self-realization, and then understanding that you are the temple. That is an acceptance of your core power. That is an acceptance that you are sacred. That is your I am presence, because that takes you into your oneness wisdom, which is all to do with the divine feminine and masculine. See where I'm going with all of this? There is going to be a video incoming because I'm going to be talking a lot about the Lamb and the Lion. Jesus, the Lamb and the Lion. Now, this is kind of like all to do with the I am presence and the oneness. That was his message. Okay. It's all to do with surrendering into acceptance of your core power, or, you know, that's what the Lamb and the Lion is all about in a really short way. So that's the point we're working to now. That is it. There is no other deviations or distractions. It's that. We got to come into that. So this is what this moon's all about. It's all about clearing out what I've shared with you. What does it mean to you? What changes do you have to make? Because there is a physical change you need to make in your life, or change is. Can't just be done on our own. We have to now go, okay, I've got the memo. What do I change out there? Like for me now, I'm going to start water fasting. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I'm going to start like bringing it in so I can reset my system. Because Joseph Arimathea kept saying to me, hold the light, hold the light. And I was like, what does that mean? And like, now I understand. Holding the light is this next level of ascension. So we have to make changes in our lives to be able to support the light. So as above, so below, the so within, so without. So that's kind of like how it rolls. And, you know, like Sekhmet, I'm talking about the acceptance of core power and everything like that. You know, like she has these cat's eyes, right? As do we. And we seek out the darkness and the shadow and the negative belief systems and the thought processes, and we devour it and we transmute it with our sacred fires and we bring it into light. So we even bring that through the temple, right? And we transmute it through the temple, and then it goes back into the cosmos and everything is light. So understanding that all of these teachings, Sekhmet, Hathor, Egypt, Avalon, India, wherever you want to go, it's all the same. Right? It all comes to the same point, which is understanding that you are sacred, that this is the temple, that you are the I am presence. That's it and that's all. So once you recognize that in yourself, it's done deal. And that's where we're going to. So next year is going to be very different for you if you're walking along this pathway. Now, just with that, to leave off, I didn't do too badly, 16 minutes. Just to leave off on this now, I haven't made an official announcement yet, but my Heka Codes 99 portal group is complete. Those were my 7 initiates. However, I have a second group that I have been very much guided to share on 11/11, and it is the Heka Codes. But wait for it, there's an extra layer of potency: Hathor and Sekhmet. So the first session will be with Sekhmet working with the Heka Codes. So there's another level of depth here, and then the second one is going to be Hathor working with the Heka Codes, and then the third session is actually Hathor and Sekhmet together, which makes perfect sense. So if you've already signed on the group of 7 for the 9/9, maybe that's your second run. Or if you feel more guided towards Sekhmet and Hathor, maybe that's your landing point there. But all of the Heka Code sessions, the groups, the 7 initiates, all upholds all of this that I'm speaking about. So that is so that I have 3 spaces left, 3 or 4 spaces. Anyway, we're pretty much half full for your 11/11. So if you feel called that you want to sign for that one, get a hold of me. I'll put my email in the write up, and let's do this, because we're preparing for next year. Next year, which is just around the corner, it's also the Tablets of Light tour in 2024. Even the words roll off. It rhymes, and I'm such a poet anyway. I write a lot of poetry. So even the Tablets of Light tour 2024, I was just like, oh, this is an alignment. This is an alignment mission this time to Egypt. So if you feel called for that, now is the time. Like, honestly, there is nothing else to wait for, because it's time to get your lion's roar on now and claim your power and do all these wonderful things. Take yourself to Egypt, really dive deep onto your spiritual path of awakening. And then share it with others, because that's what you're here for. Anyway, love and light, y'all. This ended up to be a lot longer than I expected. So I obviously have pushed through some energy. But before I leave, I've got these powerful cards to share with you. 3 cards for this reading. Okay, so we have Hathor. This was the first one that I pulled at the beginning. Hathor. So she is the goddess of creation. She is the sacred sexuality. This says medicine woman and integration. So Hathor is coming through now like a real powerful divine reflection of the divine feminine. So she is all about celebration as well, and festivities. So this is the energy of the moon, coming into that real divine feminine aspect, and which basically unlocks everything you've been working on. Everything. She is the unlocking aspect. And then you've got to love this, Ma'at. Hathor and Sekhmet are upholders of Ma'at. Ma'at, as we know, is truth, justice, law, order, reconciliation, cosmic truth, and she's what we're all working for now. This is if you didn't actually feel like you got flames up your ass, you should do now, because like I look at what's going on in the world, and yeah, it can get me angry, but it doesn't, because it just makes me more determined to go, no, we're going to bring our people together. This is my mission to bring us all together in community so we can get this done and then bring others on sides. So Ma'at is we are the protectors of creation. So she is very up front and center. I feel a video coming on with her. And then Kunum, master craftsman, creator of form, organizing principle. He is the one that basically made us on his potter's wheel. Okay. So he kind of created humans. And he was the one who kind of like brought everything into physical manifestation. So Hathor is obviously the midwife, birthing your ideas into creation. Okay, Ma'at is being aligned with truth, order, justice, reconciliation, working in your highest order, in your highest integrity and authenticity. And then Kunum, bringing what you've come here to do into physical form. So work with this moon, and like the rest is history. It really is. Anyway, love and light, y'all. And I'll speak to you on the next energy purge. Or actually, no, our next pocket of enlightenment, let's put it that way. But keep on trucking. You're nearly there. Peace.